Welcome everyone to Cool Club's headquarters here in Scottsdale. Today's something a little bit different, lots of technology still, but we are welcomed with CEO and founder of 24/7 Golf, Igor Vainshtein.
You got that right.
Awesome. I was a bit worried about that one. Igor, I don't want to give too much away in the intro, so let us in a little bit, give us some background about what you do, and then kind of sneak into how that links to golf.
Yeah, sure. Well, I picked up golf a bit late. I was about 30 when I really got interested into it properly. But before that, my background's technology. So I was a tech geek from a very early age. I was involved in the very first e-commerce store in Australia, as you can tell by my accent, similar to yours. So I grew up in Australia. Only moved to the US 10 months ago, but we'll get to that. So I was a tech geek. Worked on e-commerce, on big consulting projects, enterprise systems and all that. I kind of got hooked on golf around 30. I played a little bit in maybe once every few months back in college. By about 30, one of my best friends was really a very good golfer, and he kind of got me hooked, and I ended up being in the golf industry. I kind of combined my passion for tech and golf, and got into the golf technology business through golf simulators.
I guess that's our synergy right now. Like we pride ourselves on as much technology as possible, and you're helping us with some secret stuff right now. But tell us what you do. What's your bread and butter?
Sure. So the main thing I do is I sell golf simulators for home. So I actually manufacture the enclosures that people, you would have seen people put into their homes. I mean, you have them here. Screens, enclosures, the mats you hit off, etc. And then we sell certain technology to go with it. We sell FlightScope, we sell SkyTrack, Garmin, etc. And projectors, Optimus, etc. Really that kind of creates a solution, end-to-end solution for a golf simulator in your house. Garage, media room. We've been putting in lots of different rooms basically, and that's their bread and butter. I ended up there actually kind of by accident. It's a funny story. So I was working as a management consultant in big tech projects for a big company, Australia Post, back in Melbourne, Australia. And in the building I was in, the ground floor was like this big 6,000 square foot retail space that was empty. And that's just when I got into golf. And I was taking lessons at a business in Australia called Golf Tech Australia, which is unrelated to Golf Tech USA, but it's the same name. My friend who was good at it was getting a couple lessons. He said I should start getting lessons. So I started getting lessons there, and it had 6 simulator bays. It was an indoor venue, and it was going out of business. And so my friend and I, we ended up buying it, and I'm like, why don't we put it in downtown, right in the middle of downtown, in this 6,000 square foot space? So we bought it and we moved it into this spot at the bottom of the building I used to work at, and the funny part, I used to live on the next block. Oh. Right, so literally, I didn't have to travel more than 400 meters or yards, whatever you want to call it.
Golf, work, and live.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. So that was, and that's how I got into golf. And we built out 10 bays and got put in 10 simulators and a putting green, even in a bunker,
awesome.
A sand bunker indoors in the bottom of an office building. So it was pretty cool.
That is really cool. Yeah.
And basically, we had golf coaches do lessons, and people used to hire the place, to either for memberships or practice, or even have bachelor parties.
Yeah.
And all that, which is another story, probably off mic.
Yeah, that's what I did in London as well. So I basically got into indoor golf underground in London, and we were fitting golf clubs there, but it was also, lock the doors and have a party.
Yeah, we used to we put black curtains at the front because we had this massive street frontage, it's something like 15 meters, 45, 50 feet of street. So we had to put black curtains when the parties were on. But anyway, another conversation. And so when we opened that, we were the biggest in Australia, and we started getting approached by people saying, I want to open one of these, or I want to put these in my house. And I kind of took on that job of selling and installing the simulators that we had into other people's systems. And that was back in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So, they used to cost 30, 50,000. That was the cheapest you could get. And that's kind of how I got into it. And then fast forward, through lots of unbeaten paths in the golf simulator industry. Now we're pure e-commerce. We have an office in Australia, still in Melbourne. We have one here in Dallas. We've got an office in Europe, in Luxembourg, and warehouses in all these locations. and we basically sell this like packages like IKEA, but I make this joke but it takes 15 minutes to put together, not 15 hours.
Yes, yeah.
Like IKEA, and you just get these boxes at home, and half an hour later you can be playing golf, and that's kind of what I do now.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, we have a little bit of those clientele here. They come in and they have a fit in our indoor place, or they warm up in the indoor place. Now, oh well, I could do this at home, and of all different budget and demographic, and sometimes Jared and I, our GM here, have been out and installed some of these things too, and we know that they can be quite intricate and very, very custom. So having a turnkey solution is really, really key to this. Like, being able to do something quickly that suits you and works. That's the hard bit. And when I say works, it wants to be safe and easy.
Yeah, and that's actually, it's funny you say the safe part, because there's a good story there as well. So I designed the enclosures that we manufacture and sell, and I actually have a patent on it. It's a single piece, and there are no hard surfaces you can hit. And the reason for that is mostly from those bachelor party days that we used to have at Golf Tech in Australia, where I've seen golf balls fly in directions that like they should never go. Probably the most classic one, I'll never forget this, because it nearly could have killed me. So there was after a few beers, this guy took this massive driver swing and he missed the ball. And we had this bay, it was kind of like they were facing each other, but the last bay had this, on the other side of the bay was like a wall. And we used to project like golf onto it. It was like a massive, probably like a 30-foot wall. We used to project golf and other things. And he took a swing and then he kind of swung the club back and he hit the ball
on the recoil.
With the back of the club, and and I was standing, and it just flew past my head, hit the wall at the back, went flying back, and it was like a ping pong, just went back a couple of times, and I'll never forget that shot, and because I use that as examples, that's the worst shot I've ever seen in a golf simulator.
It's almost unsavable, even from
yeah. We haven't built that shot into our enclosures, but just about everything else, and that was the main thing that I wanted to create a solution that was really suitable for any level of golfer, not just the good ones that will put the ball in the same spot, but you can shank, or we also had a lot of people wanted to get their kids into it, and they said, well, I want my kids to be able to hit it and not worry about hitting it, like if they put it in the garage, like I don't want to put dents in my car.
Yeah.
And so that was the thought around the safety part. So funny story how that came about.
I think we've got safety is obviously really, really key with those things, because there can be lots of poles and hooks and all those kind of things. But environment, just needing it, such extremes in the US at least as well. We're in Arizona, blazing hot. You don't want to play golf.
Except
Northeast,
yesterday.
Yeah, well, I'm in a hoodie today. The Northeast, you get freezing cold, and it's hard to get on golf courses and simulate golf. You can play around in.
Well, by yourself, probably in 45 minutes, but with friends, an hour, 2 hours is plenty.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I guess, the C word, that came into play a lot with golf simulators, the COVID, especially in Australia, where like in Melbourne, Victoria, where I was, golf was banned for 6 to 9 months. I can't remember. So was fishing, by the way. Obviously, it was, we were looking after the safety of the fish. But everything was closed, so golf simulators, the market went really crazy, big boom, and there was supply chain issues and all of that. But the market really took off during COVID, and we thought it would drop off a lot after, but it hasn't, because I think people have kind of realized I can do this at home.
Yeah, it's accessible. It's no longer your billionaire thing to have in their basement. It's just every Joe can have this in his house.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting thing as well. A lot of the I have a different perspective because I've been obviously in the industry for 11 years now. I've watched the ads for golf simulators change so much. They've gone from like these really high-end houses with these very fancy simulators to like a net and a mat, and so the market, like the manufacturers, the market has changed from high-end to just anyone.
Yeah.
And we certainly, I've always wanted that as a solution. Like I don't do high-end builds, for example, right? Some of the stuff we talked about the other day, I don't get involved because that's not really my market, but I understand some people can afford it and they want to have this really amazing room, and there's plenty of people who do that. What I wanted to do is really make it available to everyone.
So what are your price point start and top?
look, we have price points that, in the 3,000s, up to probably our most expensive is under $8,000. This is all US.
Yeah.
And it allows you to play 150,000 courses. Includes projector, computer, hitting mat, literally everything you need to play simulated golf at home.
Yeah. So your points of difference, your enclosures are fairly similar across the board. It's just what you use, technology you use.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's if you look at like the enclosure, the mat, a projector, iPad or computer, there's no variance. It's like you get our sort of, we actually have a package called BYO launch monitor. Right? If you already have one or you want to source one or whatever, it's like just over $3,000. You get everything you need, and then it's really what you plug in. And some people say, like, you guys use TrackMan 4 here. Some people say, I want that, and some people say, well, I can't afford that. What can I get? And so, we sell a Garmin, which I think is under $600. We sell Skytrack and FlightScope Mevo Plus, which is $2,000, and really we try not to actually even sell some of the higher end ones. We have like Full Swing Golf Kit, but we don't, for example, we don't sell TrackMan or GC Quad. That's really not our market. But if people want to have that, they can. It doesn't really matter. It's gonna, the other things will remain the same. It's what tracks your ball is kind of your choice.
Yeah, and so there's different varying levels of. Well, you can give us an example of the two differences are camera-based technology and radar-based technology.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the main ones at the moment. You've got Garmin, which is very small radar. You got Mevo Plus, was the radar. You also got TrackMan, and some of the bigger units like the TrackMan 4 and the FlightScope X3, for example. They track the ball outdoors for 400 yards. So they're really good for tour players. That's why you see them on tour, where you get to track the ball the entire flight. Indoors, you don't need that because your ball is flying like 10 feet.
Yeah.
And so they have their advantages that you can use them indoors and outdoors, and that's kind of what differentiates them. And then you have the camera-based systems like Skytrack, which has been around for I think 8 years. They just had their birthday. And you have obviously Foresight, with GC2, then GC Quad, GC3 now, and Bushnell Launch Pro. And they track that initial moment of impact and then extrapolate all the data. The flight data, because ultimately flight is also it's physics, and the weather will change it. The altitude, here I'm hitting 10% longer, which is fun. But all of those variables change, and so some people prefer one or the other, but they both have really. I think ultimately people need to realize that even with a Garmin unit, which people dismiss a little bit because it's only $600, it's a really good unit. You can get really accurate data most of the time. Sometimes, and I think this is the key thing, the more expensive units, they're just more consistent, right? Yeah. They will give you the very, very, very close data every time. Some of the other units you may get 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 20 will be a little bit off, and I think that's what kind of people get a little bit obsessed about, those shots that are off. But if you take an average, they're all very good units, and it's really then becomes a preference and budget. Yeah. Because features are they're all becoming the same. Yeah.
So. Well, everyone wants to be able to hit shots, maybe play a round of golf. Fewer people then are going to want to dive super deep into their club data. Angle of attack, club path, all these kind of nuances that are more coaching or club fitting enabled. Most people just want to play golf indoors and have a good time.
And that's the interesting thing you say, the indoor part. A lot of when I was kind of selling a lot of these units, I really thought that a lot of people would take it from indoor and use it outdoor, like when they're warming up before their round. But what I found is people just want to use it indoor.
Yeah.
Very few people actually take it outdoor and use it for really like proper gapping. They may do it once a year, twice a year. But most people, they just want to be able to pull up their favorite course or whatever they're watching on TV on the PGA Tour. They want to be able to play that. And have fun and maybe have some friends over and all that. And I think if you think of that as your main purpose, you get a great experience from any price point.
Yeah, exactly right. Give people an idea of what's the absolute minimum space you could have to make one of these work.
So it's funny, we get asked a lot of questions like, what's that minimum height? It's like, well, if you can swing a golf club, the simulator doesn't care, but your golf club might care if it hits the ceiling. So we recommend like 9-foot ceilings minimum, which is most garages or media rooms, etc. In terms of width, 10 foot wide is our minimum space as well. And then again, it just otherwise gets a little bit claustrophobic. We do have like a net with a screen, which is 8.5 foot wide. So you can use that. But again, if you have something on either side, some people get a bit uncomfortable because it's starting to get quite close. The better place will be fine.
Yeah.
But if you're a 20 handicapper, you might want to get some safety nets or something like that.
And then strike point to screen impact.
So with these camera systems like a Skytrack or a Foresight unit, as long as your club doesn't hit the screen,
yeah.
So you could be as 8 feet away from the screen, 7 feet away. It doesn't care how much the ball flies. It just the actual you feeling. So the smallest room I've put a simulator in, it's probably was 11 foot long, like the entire room.
Yeah.
And that included a foot of safety space behind the enclosure, because our enclosures have that 1 foot away so that it doesn't hit the back wall. Yeah. So that's really 10 feet for everything.
Yeah.
Which is quite tight.
That's great. Yeah.
But you can do it.
Oh, I think it just opens up the market. Someone's like, oh, I only got 10 feet. And it's like, well, you can still go. It's fine.
Exactly. And we get that question a lot. So it's this is why garage is a great option. A media room. No, who uses media rooms these days? Like I literally, I'm in Texas now, right? I live in Dallas.
Yeah, you got lots of rooms.
We have lots of rooms in houses. We have big house. Almost every house has a theater room. I literally don't know a single person that actually uses their home theater room.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun thing about these enclosures as well. It is a screen at the end of the day. You can double it up as a movie screen if you want to.
That's right. We had we installed one recently. Actually, a neighbor of mine in my neighborhood, and he converted his media room, put in the enclosure, and I said, by the way, you can, your kids, he's got like an 8-year-old and 10-year-old that get golf lessons. But when I came over just to check out how they were doing, I said, how are your kids using it? He goes, yeah, they play Roblox on it. So,
awesome.
with a massive,
awesome.
12-foot screen, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just to push them off to get a golf swing in.
Exactly. And in fact, I'll do a little plug if I can. My son, who's 7.5, he's into golf now, and he plays games, and he actually started up his own YouTube channel called Asher Golfs and Games. And what he does, he'll play on the simulator for a little bit, and then he'll play like Minecraft or Roblox on this 13 by 10 foot screen and record it, because that's what it's there for. You can use it for anything.
That's so much fun. Yeah. Well, give yourself even more of a plug. Tell everyone about the website, how to go there, and give them the code that they can use.
Sure. So 247.golf is the website, and we are offering a special discount code for Cool Clubs customers. So you can use the code Cool Clubs. Can be all capitals, can be lowercase, it doesn't matter. To get $250 off, and obviously we've got some some great deals. The best one is a Garmin package, well under $4,000, so you can really get going, but around that $3,500 mark. Check it out and see what can suit you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, to our existing clientele, this has also gone out in our newsletter with a link and the code on it. For everyone else, just listen hard to what Igor said and visit 247.golf and treat yourself.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mate, thanks for coming out. Anytime you want to chat, just let us know.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers, Igor.